So let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 3. We will go through these verses once and for all. It's so funny because through the years I teach for Pastor Shabeli at different times, and it seems I'm always teaching on 1 Timothy 3. No matter what year it is. Like it's just always the same. Here we are again at 1 Timothy chapter 3. So let's look at it. And we will go by verse. If I live through the next 35 minutes, I'm really going to make an effort to get to do it. That'll be fun because I want to keep to the text. Do you know what Pastor Kimo said the other day? I can tell you're very interested. What? Okay. You know what he said? He said, it is very true that if I read the Bible and I see the application for the Bible, what it's saying to me, it'll change my life. If I just read the Bible and I hear what it's saying, I understand it, I believe it or receive it, it'll change my life. That was a great statement in class we had a few weeks ago on that. Okay, chapter 3, verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop. We said that the desire here, the word is an external desire, and I think it has to do with our behaviors where we desire, make a decision to study, we make a decision to obey. For example, there's a soup kitchen. I see the value of having a soup kitchen on the street, or a rehab program, or a halfway house, or an education program. Or how about going to Africa and bringing clean water, or building a school, or something that I am attracted to externally. Maybe even a good marriage. I might see that in the church. Bob Colban and his wife, Pastor Barry and Pastor Bailey the other night. I might be attracted externally, but I also, I desire the office of a bishop, and this word is really also, there are other words here for an overseer. There is the word elder, pastor. Let's see. Overseer, bishop, elder, overseer, and pastor. It's translated this way. And sometimes the same person has the various words here. Acts 20, 17, 28. Titus 1, 5 to 9. And 1 Peter 5, 1 and 2. What does a bishop do or an overseer do? There's 4 things. Number 1, he preaches and teaches. He teaches the doctrine. Very important, the doctrine, right? This is Paul writing to Timothy, who's concerned that Timothy will follow and be a guardian of the doctrine and of the message of the gospel. Timothy has a big responsibility, and Paul sees in Timothy the capability for that. And he's saying, if you desire the office of an overseer, you are desiring, and that's internal, you are desiring deep inside in your heart a good thing. And this is what has happened in your life. Like you may not always recognize that, but it is true. You have an internal desire for things that are very noble, very valuable, very important. So what does an overseer do? He is a teacher and preacher. Number 2, he cares for the weak. Cares for the weak. Where is this but 1 Thessalonians 5? We have this theme of a small-souled person. In our church here, where we have about 2,000 people, 1,750 people coming, and then 450 children. So it's a lot of people. And then out of that number, you're going to have people, 50 people, maybe even 100 people, that constantly have problems. And you're saying, Pastor, it's a lot more than that. That's just the number in this room. Caring for weak people, meaning, they just are people that, because of their capacity for life and the way they are and whatever, and you may fall in that category someday, you may not be today, but you that are strong, Romans 15, 1 and 2, you ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. So weak people are cared for by the overseer because of the internal work of grace in the new heart. The new heart is a heart of compassion and love. Number 3, he cares for the flock. This is 1 Peter 5, the whole enchilada. 1 Peter chapter 5, caring for the flock, feed the flock of God which is among you. And then number 4, he ordains other leaders. He's making the disciples, and he also lays hands on them to give them the work of the ministry. And this is so amazing when this happens, and Pastor Shabeli, of course, is a good example. But you are too. You are able, you are capable, if God has given you the gift for that. You may see it externally, be drawn to it, but it can't be copied. It has to be a deeper thing that happens in your life and in your heart. So you start by faith, and you make in your mind, as we said, there's a discipline of the mind. And so Timothy is being instructed in this. And Timothy is going to ordain, he is an elder, an overseer, a bishop. Now, another point on the word bishop, it's like an ecclesiastical term, and usually the connotation is that of a man responsible for a region where there are churches, like a region overseeing more than one, a bishop, an area or a territory. So that's how you usually hear the word, but it isn't. Again, it is a synonym for overseer, elder, pastor. So it's also that used that way. Okay, verse 2. Now comes the list of conditions. A bishop then must. Let's put here. Do you have let's see. Do I have your attention? I got lost there, didn't I? Come back, Pastor. Come back. Earth to, Okay. A bishop must be blameless, verse 2. This means it's stressing emphatically that he cannot be held in a criminal sense for being, criminal. But I think God uses criminals, and Paul is, of course, a good example of a man who was really a bad man, but God saved him. And I think criminals can be used, but after being saved and their life being changed with a new heart and a new mind, they cannot live as a criminal. They have to be blameless. No valid wrongdoing. Psalm 101, 6, 2 Corinthians 6, 4. Okay. Verse 2. The husband of one wife. So one way you could take your notes is just write down these and we'll count them at the end and see who got the right number. What do we have so far? Blameless, that's number one. Husband of one wife. This is a one-woman man. Man with one woman. He cannot have many women. But this is not speaking about polygamy. Put in a little subpoint there, polygamy. Verse 3, is it verse 2? Yeah, verse 2. How do we know it's not polygamy? Because in Roman society, they didn't practice polygamy. Paul is saying you got to have a one man with one woman. So, one woman man. But there is a lot of questions that come to mind about that. And I have 4 of them. Number 1, polygamy. Number 2, divorce. Could the man be a divorcee? Number 3, widowhood. Could he be a widower with his wife having died? Number 4, could he also be single? He has no woman in his life. Could he be a bishop? And, what are the conditions regarding him and women? And the answer is that, yes, he can be single. This is our view. This is how we read it, how we practice it, and how we think about it is for your learning. And it is that a man can be single and be an overseer. Because Paul was. I would that all would be like me. And we knew at that time in his life he was. 1 Corinthians 7:9. Regarding widowhood, yes, a man could lose his wife and she die and he could remarry. But then is he a one-woman man? And the answer is yes. At the time, he just has one woman. He's not a womanizer, nor if his wife dies. And the third point there, actually in your list, the second, how about being divorced? Yes, he could be divorcee and also qualified to be a overseer. That's a little stickier because we would like to know why was he divorced? Because of the list here, he has to have a certain character. And if he is somehow, because of the divorce, he's responsible in failing, but if it was before he was saved, then we understand that can be crazy because he's not saved and he divorced. And after being saved, he gets a divorce. Well, that has to be looked at in the light of being blameless, being responsible, being the vigilant. We'll look at those words in a minute. But the answer is yes, that is possible. He could be a divorcee. And then, of course, there's no polygamy possible in the Christian faith because of Matthew 19, verses 5 and 6. Here are some verses to write down in this regard. Ephesians 5:31, a man loving his wife as Christ loved the church. 1 Corinthians 7:39. And Mark 10:6-9. And 1 Corinthians 7:8. The Bible does not prohibit remarriage after divorce. It doesn't say if you divorce you can never remarry. It's explained Matthew 5:31, Matthew 19:9, and 1 Corinthians 7:15. But there is the question of responsibility and accountability for the divorce, and like remaining single because of the possibility of a reconciliation. It says in the book of Deuteronomy, according to law, that if a man and a woman, if the man puts the woman away, which in the Old Testament was very easy to do, a man could just say it's over, that's it, and he had the right to do it. He could divorce his wife easily, according to God allowed that in the law because of the hardness of the heart. Jesus said that in Matthew 19. So if he puts her away, she marries another, and he puts her away, she can't return to the first one. When he says, I want her back, that's not allowed according to the law of Moses. The question then is, would it be allowed under grace? Could it happen? So that's something for you to chew on. And to write a 4-page paper on it. Okay, verse 2. I know you may have questions and we could talk a lot, but I want to do this if we can. 1 Timothy 3, verse 2. The husband of one wife. Meaning, like in my life, I have my wife, 38 years we've been married. It's amazing. I've never had another woman in my life. That's awesome. I have one wife, one man, one woman. It's a gift of grace, and I praise God. It's the best way to go. And so this is, mentioned here. Why is it one of the first things mentioned? It is blameless, because I think it's a weakness in man, and it's a weakness in the ministry, that a man is sexually impure, if not outwardly, then inwardly in his imagination and in his thinking. And it's just not, not the standard that the Holy Spirit puts for a healthy society is from the new heart. And this isn't possible, except this is what we were talking about in the beginning, is that this is really made it possible. It's my new heart that is not thinking these ways. My new heart is desiring something different, something new and precious. So that's the point. Verse 2. Next one. Can you read it to me? Vigilant. It means in the Greek word is wineless. Wineless, literally. Without wine. It means, it's translated in some translations, temperate. And it means to be not sleepy or numb, but to be alert, to be watchful, to be vigilant, to be clear-headed. That's what is needed for being an overseer, vigilant. Then the next word is sober. We have disciplined, one of the translations, disciplined, sober, thinking soberly, ordering my priorities, serious about the important things. Really, that's an amazing way of thinking. Serious about the important things. What if I come in here goofing around all the time? Hey. What if I come in here and I'm not serious about it, right? Or our leaders are not serious about what we're doing. We pay a high price. Like, you come here to the Bible college and you are serious. You pay a high price, and you and I are hungry for the leadership to be serious about what we're doing. Because we might even someday lose our life because of believing in what we believe. Or losing something very valuable, and I need to know this. So here is, I need to have it in my heart that the leadership has to be serious about the serious things, and then very lighthearted about a lot of things. That's the way I want to be. I want to be lighthearted, happy, jovial, thankful, praising God, thankful. And then when you hit a serious issue, I want to be there with you in that thing and just say, this is heart attack seriousness right now. This is a soul. This is a valuable person. This is about heaven and hell. This is about the gospel and God's work. So that's the meaning of the word. Of good behavior, meaning orderly. There's a order in your life. Orderly. Cannot lead a chaotic life. Cannot be constantly distracted by things. Hey, Pastor, what are you doing? I'm mowing my lawn right now. Well, there's a crisis happening. Well, you got to deal with it. I got more important things that I got to handle. I've got to mow my lawn. Okay, mowing a lawn isn't a bad idea, but when somebody is in a lot of trouble, maybe you have to adjust your priorities. How we spend our time, what's important to us, what we read, where we go. My time's really valuable. What's important in my heart. What time do I get up in the morning? There was a missionary that we had some years ago, and he would get up in the morning at 11 in the morning and at noon and wander around and not go to a team meeting and so on. And it was like, your life is not organized. You're not disciplined. You're not committed. You don't have, there's something not right in that picture. When you have to have some kind of, sense of organization in my heart, in my thinking, in my discipline, in my responsibility, in my activity, whether it's small things like doing the dishes or cleaning my room or washing my clothes, or bigger things like paying bills or showing up on time, being there on time or being there early, 10 minutes early. My son worked at a golf course, and he got there 1 minute late. And the guy said, the manager said, if you're 5 minutes early, you're on time. Not being on time isn't on time. But you have to be 5 minutes early. If you're 5 minutes early, you're on time. And if you're 10 minutes early, you're 5 minutes early. That type of thing. And I mean, this is, I like it because it helps me. And of course, I got to be there no matter what it is going on, So, cultivate that in your life. This is to encourage you and to help you. Many skills that you learn in the ministry, the only way you'll ever learn them is by being in Bible college, because you don't learn those things, at home. Sometimes in our homes, we may not learn them in public school. We have to learn them, in our hearts. There has to be a sense in my heart. Before preaching, it might be, I know Yonggi Cho, who's like a charismatic type preacher in South Korea, he will, 4 hours before he preaches, he's in prayer. And nobody can speak in his pulpit unless they are 4 hours before preaching, they are in prayer for 4 hours. I'm not talking about rules. I'm talking about seriousness of the heart and what I'm doing. I am pitching in the World Series, but I'm not. I'm pastoring. But my pastoring is, I am pitching in the World Series. You know what I'm saying? I am in the Olympics. I am in a much higher important calling and ministry than those people that are in the World Series tonight. This is much more. So this is the word here. Good behavior means not a chaotic life. Then number 2, or verse 2, given to hospitality, that means a lover of strangers. Hospitality. Maybe, Pastor Mark, could you stand up here? I like this idea about hospitality. Okay, he and I are on the street. I don't know him. He's a stranger. And I'm here. You know what hospitality means? He is welcome in my space. And he's a stranger. But he's welcome in my space. It doesn't mean I take him home. It doesn't mean that I say, hey, get over here. You're going to my house today. Okay, I don't mean, but it's a different thing. It is, I am friendly. I am kind. I care about strangers. Like, who are you? This is evangelism. And evangelism is an expression of hospitality. And of course, as foreign students and the ladies here, you be very careful and cautious about the whole idea of who is invited into your space. Because, we've talked about that a little bit. But as an elder, as an overseer, everybody is welcome here. Everybody, I want you to have a place. Everybody is a precious child of God, and they're important. So that spirit of hospitality, okay? And then, of course, I met a man in Germany, and he told me he was a pastor. He invited people to his house all the time, and his wife cooked for them. And he said, I had 175 people in my house this past month. Yeah, so you do the math on that. 30 days, how many is that a day? 6 people a day, every day. Now my wife, okay, I don't think so. 6 people every day. Isn't that, but that's how he ministered, and that's how he, okay. Next one, able to teach. 2 Timothy 2:24, 4:6, verse 6, verse 11, verse 13 also, and Titus 2:1. Apt to teach. If you don't teach, what are you prone to do? If you're not teaching, what will happen if you're not teaching? If you're not teaching, then what? Okay, in a good sense, I may study so I can teach. I study so I can teach. I study so I can teach. But what if I'm not doing any of that? I'm not studying, I'm not teaching. And so how do I relate to people? Let's turn and read it. 2 Timothy chapter 2. Verse 23. Foolish and unlearned questions avoid, knowing they do gender strifes. So I'm not studying, I'm not teaching, and I'll find myself with questions that are foolish and unlearned, where I'm going to be listening and talking about the various things, but I'm not teaching doctrine. And this is what may happen, is verse 24, the servant of the Lord must not strive. I might become combative. I might fight them. I might be combative because it irritates me that they're saying these things. Well, the reason they're saying them is because you're not teaching them. If you're not teaching them, then they're going to be talking like everybody is talking. And then you get irritated, and there's a word here, you become a striker. We'll look at it in a minute. But verse 24, you strive and you argue. You may be combative, but you must be gentle unto all men, apt to teach and patient. You just start teaching and you're patient with them. It takes time. How about this? You're in a country where they believe in reincarnation. Like in India, for example, they believe in reincarnation. So you're a pastor, but you're not teaching. You're not ministering the word. So they are Christians, but they believe in reincarnation. And then they're talking about it. And then you get angry about it. You say, what are you talking about? And we say, and then you say, you cannot talk about that around me, you know. You cannot be here if you're thinking like that. That's Hinduism. We're not Hindu, we are Christians. So do you see you can't do that. You cannot lead like that. You are gentle, apt to teach, patient, and God will minister to them, and they will start to think like you do, because they are born again. But if they are born again and they don't have the word, then how are they going to change? They're born again and they don't have the ministry of the Spirit, then how will it happen? So go back to 1 Timothy 3 with me. We're almost done. You guys have been awesome. This has been a marathon. For you, not for me. Not for you too. Okay, verse 3. Not given to wine. Oh, you're kidding me. No wine? No wine? Okay, so there is a good lesson. Not having a reputation as a drinker. Not having your mind clouded by alcohol. Proverbs 31, verses 4 and 5. 1 Corinthians 6:12. God bless you guys. Romans 14:21. Now, alcohol, I'll just say a few things about it. If you get to know me and understand what I think about it and so on, it's great because I have a lot to say about it in a way. They did tests, sharpshooters, or what are they called? The guys that are snipers. They had the idea if they have a little alcohol, they'll do better. So they did tests on it. The same, they've done it with golfers. As I said, my son's a golfer, and he told me about it. And it's not true. It doesn't help them. You may be relaxed, but it doesn't mean that you're going to do better. And drinking alcohol is not like, it just isn't, that there are things there that are just, not part of as an overseer, I cannot do that. because I will have a young man come in here who has an alcohol problem, and he'll say to me in the cafe, "Pastor, do you drink?" And I'm going to be honest. Yeah, a little bit, but you got to be careful, right? That's what, if I did drink, that's what I'd have to say. But I can say nothing, zero. And he'll go, that's what I need. I need a pastor who has that kind of conviction. I need somebody who's going to be telling me that I can live with Jesus and be happy and satisfied without the alcohol, because I'm nuts. I'm nuts. And by the way, there are scientific studies on the physiology of American Indians. And also they did it with Finnish people too. This is interesting. And it goes like this, that through generations of nomadic people who walked long distances and ate little food, and there were certain things that affected their physiology, like nomadic North American Indians, when they drank alcohol, it affected them a lot more than others because of their physiology. Isn't that interesting? So there are people that will come into this church and they can't have any. They can't have any. If they want to have a future with God, they can't have any. Isn't that amazing? So what do I have to do it for their sake. And I do it for my sake, because I'm crazy, I don't trust myself at all. Verse 3, no striker. The word meaning is this not being violent, not given to blows. You can't get in a fight. Sometimes I see these personality types. I go, wow, that man is so violent, so angry. That man, he couldn't be a pastor. He couldn't be, unless God did a great work. The guy is just, he's prone to being violent. He's the kind of guy that'll go in a bar room and get in a fight just like so easily. He'll do it on purpose. I had a Hungarian friend who was very skillful at making fights, verbally with the other Hungarians. He didn't do it with us, but he knew how to do it. And he could just say the sentence that he knew would provoke the whole thing, and they would be like bulldogs fighting, and he enjoyed it. And he would go home so happy, that was amazing. He just enjoyed the whole thing. You can't be an overseer if you're picking fights. And that's the meaning of striker. In verse 3, not greedy of filthy lucre. That means money. Titus 1:7, 1 Peter 5:2. And I think everybody has a price, right? Do you, as the overseer, do you have a price? Are you following the money, or are you following God? Isn't that true? Do you know what Rice Christians are? Anybody? Rice Christians? Pastor Dwayne? Oh, okay. When China was in poverty and there was a famine, the British came and they had rice. I don't know where it came from, how it went, but they converted people with the rice. If you be a Christian, you get the rice. So they say, I'm a Christian. Okay, give me the rice. Okay, so those are rice Christians, right? The baptisms of the Orthodox, the Russians, the Ukrainians, in the history, you can read about it. Whole groups of people, when the Tsar said, I'm a Christian, where the leadership of the region said, I'm a Christian, everybody's to be baptized. 120,000 people baptized in one day. So there's a good example of like people that are, you buy them or you order them. And a pastor, he can't be motivated by these things. It's a deeper thing. So that's the meaning of not being greedy of filthy lucre, wanting to be a pastor because of a job. There is at the university in Finland, when a young man wants to go to medical school, he may not get into medical school, so he may become a priest, because it is a job opportunity. I'll study for the priesthood, and then I'll become one. Not in every case, of course, and of course that is everywhere. But it's not why we do what we do. We do it because it is in the heart. So, gentle. I'm over 2 minutes, so okay, let's do it. I didn't succeed, did I? It didn't finish. No, it's over. I'm lost. I've failed on my mission. All right, let's count them. Not gentle, not quarrelsome, not covetous, rules his house well, submitted, virtuous, not a novice, verse 6. And then the deacons is in verse 8, and diaconesses, the women are diaconesses that are mentioned in that portion. And that's another. So that's verse 11. It says wives, but it's really a woman who is she is like a deacon, but she's a diaconess. We don't use that term in our ministry, but it is there. And I think it's something we should pick up and start using. That's where we'll end. Thank you. God bless you. There'll be a door offering tonight for my gas expenses and other things. And there better be a lot of money in there, because I am greedy of filthy lucre. Okay, great to be with you. God bless you. Your assignment is to pray for Pastor Shabelli's safe return, and we will be enjoying his portion. And thank you, Pastor Dwayne, for being here tonight as he teaches tonight also. God bless you.